Barry Kukkuk, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Netstock and co-founder as well at Netstock. It's fantastic to have you with us on What's Next. We're going to be finding out more about what Netstock is and what Netstock's been busy over the last few years. But it's about inventory management software and AI and this technology leveraging and setting Netstock apart from the rest of the pack, so to speak. Talk about supply chain management, etc., etc. And it's been one hell of a ride, Barry Kukkuk, and a great pleasure it is to welcome you here. I've been reading about your acquisitions, and it's just amazing to see where you've taken this organization. And, with AI being so prevalent right now and the software that's unlocking supply chain potential that we're hearing so much about globally, it's all about supply chain. Firstly, Barry, welcome to What's Next. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, Aki, man. It's been a long time, and it's good to see you again also. And thank you for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And it's always great to look at homegrown South African companies that have done exceptionally well globally. And Netstock is one of those companies. You're a South African software company and you've gone global. It's a fantastic story. For those who haven't heard Netstock before, the name Netstock or what Netstock does, tell us a little bit about Netstock and your journey to where you are today.
So we started in 2010, and we were 4 founders that started the business at that time. And all 4 of us have worked in a previous kind of career in inventory optimization software. But we were really focused on the kind of high end of the market and the guys who can pay the big bucks and so on. And in 2010, we came back together and we said to each other, listen, let's do something. Is there an opportunity? And we realized that there literally are thousands and thousands of SMEs around the world that have the exact same problem as those big companies do, but they do not have the access to the tools to, compete in the marketplace. And so we decided to build Netstock to allow them to also compete, And since that time, it's been our mission to arm these smaller companies, even maybe up to the mid-range, with the tools to also compete in the market. Because, I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world where there's only Walmart and Amazon left. I want there to be a rich ecosystem. And that's our mission, is to help these smaller guys also compete, in the market.
Wow, it's been a fascinating journey, and there've been quite a few acquisitions along the journey. And you're joining us right now. You're in the US on the East Coast, not far from MIT, as we're doing this particular interview. This is where the company's based. This is where your headquarters are now. And it's been an extraordinary year, Barry, when you look at the year of AI, I'd like to call it, even though AI has been around for decades. But, ChatGPT and AI being, at the forefront of where technology is moving, I guess, and how companies are optimizing their operations and their workflows using AI. And AI is certainly shaping the future of the business you're in, and that's inventory management and supply chain. From a South African business. So how do you see the role of AI in shaping the future inventory management and supply chain planning for South African businesses? And when you look at us from where you are at the moment, are we right at the forefront? Are we right there where the rest of the world is when we are talking about supply chain and inventory management?
Well, it's interesting you should say that it's the year of AI. It's almost like everything suddenly became visible, and people started talking about it, and everyone and their dog is now using AI for some thing. That you've crossed over when your hairdresser goes, "Have you heard about ChatGPT?" And I go, "Okay, yeah, this thing is big now." And so absolutely, because everyone is suddenly so aware of AI. People are demanding that their software has some flavor of AI in it. And what we found where AI is really good at is looking at vast amounts of data, finding patterns, finding the anomalies, and that kind of thing, and bringing that to the fore in a very quick and easy way. The other way that people use AI, which is more kind of the ChatGPT way, is more of a natural language. So instead of looking at dashboards on a screen, can you have some software that can show you and talk to you in a way that us humans can understand, telling you where, where you can improve your business and so on. So yeah, we really invested this year into starting our AI journey. We were pretty early in the year able to release our first few forays into this world, and we continually building. There's just so much going on in the background, and in the next 6 months we'll have the next bunch of stuff out, and the next 6 months after that will be the next bunch of stuff out, and so on. And to come back to your question, are we at the forefront? I don't really think of us, even as South African businesses, as separate from everyone else. With the internet, everyone has access to everything in the same way, right? You can sit in a coffee shop in Melville on a laptop and have the exact same information at your fingertips than someone sitting in Silicon Valley in a coffee shop, right? There's no difference. So it's really about, can you take advantage of all of the stuff that's out there? There's so much available to people. It's open source. There's communities of people working together. And it's really all about taking advantage and using that stuff to build your business or improve your business and so on. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much up there.
That's amazing to hear. When you look at AI, you were just talking about the benefits of AI, but why specifically AI in Netstock?
So what we found over the last 10 years or so, our customers have struggled with a few things, in terms of the data size. Lots of our customers are carrying bigger product lines, more information. Some of our biggest customers have 8 million different items that they manage, that we help them manage. Even smaller ones with hundreds of thousands. That's a lot of data to get through. And the other thing that's happened is that supply chains have become very, very complex. It's no longer just import from there and sell there. There's a whole chain of things that can happen. And actually that's maybe a little bit of a weakness in the supply chain, which we've seen, kind of during the pandemic when, one part of that long supply chain gets stuck. I won't mention the Suez Canal or anything, but it affects a lot of people in a lot of places and a lot of things. And because things are so complex and because the data is so big, you can't just go into an Excel spreadsheet and find that opportunity where you can make a big difference in your business. And so one of the first levels of AI that we've released to our customers, we call this opportunity engine. And it will go through all of that data for for all of your items through your whole supply chain and find out where the opportunities are, and it tells you in that very specific human language, this is where the opportunity is. But not only that, it also gives you a suggestion of what to do with that. So if I can give you an example, it would say that it looks like you're going to run out of inventory of this item in your Cape Town warehouse on this date, right? So that's an opportunity. Something's going to go wrong and you're getting an early warning. But then it goes and says, I have found that you've got some excess of that same item in your Durban warehouse. Why don't you transfer some of that excess to Cape Town and help your Cape Town branch not run out, and at the same time reduce the inventory capacity that you have to keep in your Durban warehouse? Now that's a kind of an insight that is very valuable and is very actionable, and it cuts through all of that noise and just gives you, there's the opportunity for you. So that's the kind of stuff that we're working on.
Okay, that's interesting, and it makes complete sense. And there's no ways you will spot that if going through large data sets to try and spot something like that. That's where AI comes in. And
Yeah,
Netstock
absolutely.
is first to market, if I'm not mistaken, in bringing AI into inventory management software. I'm not aware that it's been done before with its new opportunity engine that I was reading about. Now, with that said, what sets Netstock's capabilities apart from other inventory management solutions available in the South African and the global markets that you serve?
So again, Aki, there has been some AI available to supply chain and inventory management, but again, available to those big guys. You know, if you think of the
Right.
Amazons of the world, they employ thousands of data scientists who just work with their masses of data and find the best possible way for them to run their supply chain. But the smaller guys, you know, the guy on the hardware store in the corner, he's got some data. It's not like there's no data there, but they can't employ data scientists, never mind 1,000 data scientists, right? And so what we are is what we've brought to market is this opportunity engine is the first one for this level of customers that can help them, like I say, cut through all of that masses of data and give you those pearls of wisdom of where you can improve your inventory management and your supply chain. And so we definitely are first in the market segment that we serve. And again, it comes back to our mission is to help these little guys. You know, we really want to arm them with the same tools to also compete. Otherwise, only the big guys can do anything about that. And so that's why we've come out of this as soon as we could.
Barry, when you look at the capabilities, I mean, as you talk about AI, and I'm thinking of so many other opportunities that lie in really adding incredible efficiencies and
Yes.
capabilities. And I guess that Netstock's overall functionality and performance for customers is one thing that AI can really enhance as well, right?
Yeah, in fact, this is something that we're working on right now. You know, when I said we'll have some extra stuff coming out, we are working on a Chat GPT-like interface for our software, where not only can you ask a question by typing in, listen, tell me how do I up my forecast for my B items for the next 3 months. It will give you the results and how to do that. But the next version of that will allow us through an API to actually allow the chatbot to action those items for you. So you can say, please help me to update my A items forecast for the next 3 months by up them by 10%. And it will say, this is how you do it. Or alternatively, do you want me to just do it for you? And if you say yes, it will go and do that. And what we're seeing there and what we're thinking is that will be a massive, massive improvement for our customers, because it's like having another person on your team that can do that kind of menial work. Instead of your highly paid people doing, oh, I'm going to go and find all these items and update it. Just get a machine to do it and let your highly paid people understand your supply chain, talk with your customers, talk to your suppliers, do that kind of stuff. And so we want to up the level of where people work instead of down in the trenches, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're talking about. I mean, what AI is doing in the workspace and how it's unlocking tremendous amount of value. And this is such a
Yeah.
great example that you allow your team members to focus on important things like the customer
Yeah.
experience and looking after that. Let the technology take care of these kind of answers. Just out of interest, Barry, what kind of data does your opportunity engine rely on, and how do you ensure, for example, that it's accurate and it's reliable? Because that's a key metric, because if you get the
Okay.
accuracy and the reliability wrong, then things can go horribly wrong. So how do
Yeah.
you take that data and ensure that it is reliable and accurate?
Yeah, so that's a big issue that we see, especially with these generative AIs like ChatGPT. The problem that those kinds of things have, it will give you very confidently a wrong answer, right? I don't know if you've ever
Mm.
played with ChatGPT, but
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
it gets something wrong, but it's so confident, it tells you exactly what's the answer And you look at this and you go, yeah, no, that's not right, especially if you're in that field, right? So that is very important for us, and it was something that we really, really strive towards, is to not get these AIs to hallucinate answers, right? So we're looking far more at the customer's own data and understanding the real intricacies of that data, but not using the generative part of it to generate the answer, right? So we train the AI on the customer's own data. We look at historically what happened and how the inventory moves and how the supply chain hangs together, and then it comes up with opportunities through that. So it's important. It's giving wrong answers or hallucinating things. If your AI goes and says, hey, it looks like you have that shortfall in Cape Town, but you can replenish it from Bloemfontein, and you go, I don't have a warehouse in Bloemfontein. No, people are going to stop believing your AI very quickly. So it's very important for us to get that kind of stuff right.
Okay. And then the support that you offer to your customers at Netstock. And I guess you say that you look after customers of all sorts of different sizes, but customers grow, they adapt, they maximize, they grow with a brand. And how does one maximize the benefits of the AI powered predictive planning suite, which you guys have on your platform? And how do customers use that to maximize and get the maximum value out of this?
That's a good question. What we often find is we get customers in the early stages of their growth, and if we can help them to optimize and improve, we inevitably see them growing and getting bigger and bigger. And with our suite of products that we have now, we have a product for every kind of stage in their growth. As they grow and they want some more sophistication, we can add some more product to that. And if they want some extra sophistication, and when they start with a new S&OP process, we've got something for them there, and so on and so on. So, in the beginning, we really focused on one type of customer, and then we really quickly realized that they start growing. And so we've also grown our software kind of suite to accommodate all those customers in those stages of their growth. A story I always like to tell, there's the South African retailer that sells electronic goods, and when we started with this company, they had four stores, a small little operation, and the owner was the one doing the orders. So every Friday, he would get into the office in the morning, lock the door, and do purchase orders through all of his suppliers. And then he would leave the office, at 6, 7 p.m. on a Friday, normally quite grumpy, and go home. And everyone knew, do not speak to the boss on Friday afternoons because he's busy. They implemented Netstock, and within, I think, 2 or 3 years, they've grown that from 4 to 25 branches. The owner now comes in on a Friday, does all of the ordering in less than an hour, and then he goes home and
Wow.
spends time with his family, right? And that's the kind of efficiencies that we really want to give our customers, because it allows them, yes, it allows them to make more profit and, all of that kind of stuff. But if you think about it, this guy gets a Friday afternoon with his kids, and that is priceless. And that's what we aim to do with our software.
That's a great story. I love that story, and he doesn't play golf, so he could have spent a bit more time on the golf course as well. But when you look at Netstock's plans, yeah, exactly. When you look at the plans for the future that you have for Netstock, you've made some interesting acquisitions. Obviously, AI is changing so fast. We've just seen so many iterations this year, and we know that things like generative AI, for example, is going to be something that's going to even shape and unlock even more value. Where do you see your plans for future developments or enhancements to the AI capability in your current software stack?
I think AI is just part of our roadmap going forward for everything we do. It's not like something you do, like you say, you can't do it for this year release it and go, okay, we're done. It's always going to evolve. It's always going to get better. New models coming out, new, hardware that allows you to churn through data quicker, all that kind of stuff. So, for us, it's all about any developments we do. There's always a component of AI into that, and we're keeping our eye on the industry. We understand where things are going, or we try to. It's also very important to understand where's all the fluff and the not real stuff. So you kind of don't waste your time on those kinds of things. But talk about the acquisitions. We acquired a company about 18 months ago called DemandWorks, and they really helped us to get into that kind of bigger space, the medium-sized companies. We now have more processes. They have a team of demand planners, not just that owner, like from the first example I've given you, and so on. And we really help them to get more, more powerful and correct planning through the software. And in fact, our first AI and machine learning stuff came from that acquisition. And that's especially in the forecasting arena, where we use machine learning to look at events. For example, certain events that happen, maybe they happen more on a specific schedule, and they're going to happen in the future, and the forecast engine was automatically apply that. Or you get these once-off kind of black swan events, and you say, okay, COVID is a good example. In April, May, and June of 2020, our sales were really down, but that was because there was a big lockdown. Statistical forecast engine might look at that history and do another forecast where it's going to go down, and you go, oh, that's not going to happen. Where our machine learning in that is where you can flag those and go, this is a special event. It's not going to happen again. And the AI will automatically figure out what the demand would have been if it was a normal time frame and fix your forecast on that side. This is something a human can do. You can do that any minute, but try to do that over 1 million items. And this is where the power again of the machines come in. And that's where we really want to help our users save the time and the effort to get those things right through machine learning and AI.
So as a South African customer using an ERP system like, Syspro, there's NetSuite. I mean, there's one of many others that Netstock has an integration with, right? What does this AI functionality mean for them in the ERP space?
Yeah, so we have probably connectors to about 40 different ERPs pre-built. So, when we get a customer and they are on one of those 40 different ERPs, the connection is basically instant. It's not like you have to create an integration. It's pre-built, it's done, it works. And what we one of the things that we're working on is that the first time you connect and we start getting all of that data from the ERP into the Netstock platform, is to look at that data and say, okay, where are the anomalies? Because very often people don't have very good data hygiene in the ERP system. And the old saying is, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So we really want to push our users to go and, okay, if you can clean up that data in a very meaningful way, then Netstock will be even more powerful to, give you better recommendations and better planning capabilities. But it's very difficult to say to someone, go clean up your data, right? But if you can say to them, listen, here's a list of things that we see that are wrong, okay? And while you're going to go clean up those problem data in your ERP system, we're going to ignore that on this side and keep working and producing the best recommendations that we can on the, maybe not 100% healthy data that you have. When you've done that fix up and clean up, come back to the software, switch off that filter, and now we use the good data. So some of the AI that we're working on, probably coming this year, will be allowing us to get or allow our customers to get value from the Netstock system quicker, even though they don't have all of that data in a very clean, beautiful format yet, while they're still working on it. So that's kind of where we're looking at this integrations and how we can improve that.
Okay. Well, look, South African businesses face some unique supply chain problems here. And,
Absolutely.
let's talk about the issue in the ports, for example, or the rail system. So logistics are a challenge. I mean, there's no doubt that we have that poor infrastructure. It's hindering rail and freight transportation across the country.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Netstock can do to help South African businesses kind of navigate these logistic issues that we have in South Africa?
Yeah, absolutely, Aki. We've seen, again, the pandemic has really highlighted a lot of those kind of issues worldwide. I mean, yes, South Africa does have some unique or extra challenges, but worldwide these things have come. And what we've seen, I'll give you an example. When the first lockdown started happening worldwide, and we look at one of our customers, and they might be placing purchase orders every 30 days, right, or every month into whatever. And I'll give you an example. One of our customers, they usually place their orders into the States from China, and it will take 60 days for the stuff to arrive. So place the order, 60 days later, it's in the warehouse. That's from getting it from China on the water, through customs, on rail, into the warehouse, 60 days. When the lockdown started, the next order they placed 30 days later, it took 70 days, right?
Wow.
Okay, a little bit of a change, not so bad. Next time they ordered, it was 100 days. Next time they ordered, 140 days. It went up to 1 year at one point. All right, so if you look at this customer, every time they're placing an order, they're getting a surprise, a big surprise. Why has it now gone from 60 to 140 days with, in 2 order cycles? Something's not right. But if you look at all of our customers in aggregate and you look at their ordering patterns at that time, you'll see that there was a very smooth graph of what was going on. And if we had our AI ready back then in 2020, this AI can look at that graph and predict where it's going. So when your customer places the order, you can say, listen, it might be a 70-day lead time now, but we predict in the next 30 days it will be at 100 days. You might want to order differently now because we can predict where it's going. So this is where something like a supply chain hiccup or where things start going out of kilter over time. Interest rates go up. What happens when interest rates or inflation goes up? What happens when inflation goes up? The Reserve Bank puts interest rates up. What happens when that happens? People don't spend, or they spend less. So your demand goes down. But also, it doesn't just happen in a fashion like that. It goes down in a smooth curve. So can we forecast that curve and tell our users, listen, your demand is going to go down. Stop ordering now. You don't need all that stock because if you have too much stock in the warehouse, it will lock up cash flow that you can use in other parts of your business. So that's where we see in the future that we can really help with the supply chain in terms of predicting how those things happen before they happen.
Yeah. Look, the reality is we're living in tough economic times and there's massive inflation. I don't need to remind you, these businesses have cash flow issues. It's a major concern for that South African supply chain industry right now, the unpredictability of the currency, et cetera, et cetera. How can Netstock help customers improve and safeguard their cash flow? Overall, when you look at the broader picture, and take a step back. And I think cash flow is a massive challenge.
It is one of the biggest challenges we see because we work with these smaller customers. Our customers really feel that cash flow and that working capital pinch, and what's happened is capital became more expensive as the interest rates keep climbing and climbing and climbing. It's not so easy to just go to the bank and say, give me another R1 million to stock my warehouse, right? The bank is either going to go, well, yes, but you're going to pay, or the bank is also becoming a bit risk averse and they go, oh, are you going to sell this stuff? I don't know. And they don't. And banks generally don't lend on inventory. They will lend you against your your factory, and they will lend against all kinds of other assets, but they won't lend against inventory. So where Netstock comes in is it says, okay, you have this bunch of inventory in your warehouses. Normally, customers have more than one warehouse, and there's working capital tied up in those warehouses. But like the example I've given you earlier, if we can rebalance all the inventory, so instead of ordering in at the new price and getting stuff into that Cape Town warehouse, if we transfer them, the inventory from the KZN warehouse, for example, not only will you not spend that money, but you'll take working capital out of KZN, put it into Cape Town where it sells and starts making you, some money. So there's a lot of that balancing that we do, which allows you to, take the current cash that's locked up in your inventory, get rid of it by selling it, so it makes you some margin, and also it allows you not to have to go to the bank to get that overdraft to buy more inventory to sell. So it's kind of a double-sided improvement you get there. And what we see is when you unlock that working capital, that's when the businesses start growing, because that's all they need is just that extra capital to get the growth going. And that's when, the economy starts spinning up, like that guy with 25 stores after only had 4 stores, that kind of story.
Wow, Barry, I mean, I can sit and chat to you for hours, because it's amazing what you guys have done and what incredible value Netstock is doing and unlocking for organizations. And it's great to see you guys doing so well on the global front, acquisitions, and just expanding what you guys are doing, and wishing you growth from strength to strength, Barry, and hope we can have a chat in the next few months to see where you're at and hear more of your insights and what you're doing to unlock value in the supply chain management cycles. Barry Kukkuk, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Netstock, proudly South African and a fantastic South African success story. Thank you very much for joining us on What's Next, Barry.
Thank you, Aki. I really appreciate your time. Have a good day.